Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber make a comment, which I'll flip in here. And let me just go right into talking about this. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Work on skilling up my crafting a little bit. Yeah, let's talk about this. I love it when I have older posters come in who are closer to my age, who've been in the iron game a long time. They've seen trends come and go. They've seen all the muscle mag stuff come and go. Routines and training styles come in and out of vogue. Diet styles come in and out of style, repeating themselves over and over, and always the new marketing stuff that's out there. And he makes an amazing point. The reason no one talks about the basics inside the fitness industry, there's no money in the basics. They can't make a profit if everyone just does the basics. Well, what do I mean? Well, let's talk about the different points he makes down the road. All right, how about training? Most of your muscle mass gains, I don't care what training style you use, 90+% of your muscle gains are going to come from doing big, heavy compound movements. All right, the only guys getting big on doing mostly isolation movements are guys with good genetics on enormous amounts of drugs. All right, and it's the drugs giving them the gains, not the isolation movements. In fact, if all these pro bodybuilders, if all these curls and tricep extensions were so amazing at catching their arms up with the rest of their torso, then why do they all inject so much shit into their arms? Stop and think about that. If the stuff was working, considering the amount of drugs they're on, all that training should be getting their arms caught up. Yet they all load these same show muscles full of enormous amounts of synthol, site injections, collagen, everything else. All right. Big heavy compounds will give you the overwhelming majority of the muscle you are going to gain. I'm not saying you shouldn't do some curls if you feel like it, but think about it. It's the compounds that get you there. And if you tell guys to just come in and pick 4, 5, or 6 big basic exercises, I don't care whether it's deadlifts or weighted chin-ups or the overhead press or the push press or the bench press or the weighted dip, front squat, back squat, pen lay row, standing barbell row, Yates row, I don't care. Big, heavy compound movements that work lots of muscles in your body. If you tell guys to come in and just get really strong on those and focus on those, that they'll get big. How do you make money doing that? You can't sell them routines. Now, when I say strong, even the muscle magazines and all these fitness experts have made you guys forget what strong even means. All around strong. No one said powerlifting. You say strong, what do people think? 1 rep max, your max bench. I said get as strong as possible for you personally. As strong as possible in these lifts. Strong means you get strong on your 1 rep max, your 5 rep max, your 10 rep max. How about your 15 rep max? That's as strong as possible. When your bench press and your overhead press, you've maximized how strong you are on every rep range. 1 rep, 5 rep, 10, 15. When you're strong on all of them, because you've gotten as strong as possible, your chest and triceps and delts are going to be about as big as they could possibly be at that given point. And when we start talking about all around strong, that means you've trained probably different rep ranges. We're talking about basically the whole basis of periodization. Periodization was created to get you all around strong through different performance elements, right? Because 15 rep strength is not always the same as 1 rep strength. You should probably be good at all of them. And guess what? When you are strong at all of them, your progressive overload goes way up and you get big as fuck. Or as big as possible, because you're as strong as possible through all the different rep ranges. So when people hear the word strong, they assume 1 rep max. Actually, we call that power or maximum power. All around strong means you need to be good at 10 rep sets too. All around strong. When you get all around strong on all those exercises, you're going to be about as big as you could possibly be. If you've picked at least 5 really good compound movements that work enough different muscles, you're going to get about as big as you can be from the training end. How about training frequency? He said, yeah, train 3 days a week. All the guys back in the day, the golden era bodybuilders, before everyone had access to the amount of drugs they have today, and even then, do you guys know that there were stories written and interviews done? Multiple people confirmed the same interview, that back around the early 60s, a bunch of bodybuilders and Olympic lifters all met together, about 15 of them, and had a roundtable private meeting. You know what the topic of their discussion was? If it was safe to use 15 milligrams of Dianabol a day. Because everyone back then was, all the top guys were using 10 milligrams every day. They were 5 milligram pills. They were using 10 milligrams a day. And some of them were debating. They sat around and debated if the risk was worth it to go to 15, if they thought they would gain more muscle, or if it might be dangerous or not. That gives you an idea of how they viewed drugs back then. All right, today, I know guys who it's nothing. They have no problem eating 100 milligrams of Dianabol a day while stacking it with 3 other drugs. Hell, Rich Piana was using 4,500 milligrams of gear per week, plus HGH, all that other stuff. Guys back then, how often did they train? 3 days a week. Guys who were using no more than 10 milligrams of Dianabol a day looked fantastic. They had more aesthetic physiques today than most of the guys competing do now, with this shrink wrap, hideous, fucking disgusting look. But they were all big and strong. They had classic aesthetics. They trained 3 days a week. 3 days. They usually did Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full bodies. That was normal. They did big, heavy compounds. They realized if you got big and strong on the basic movements, that you'd be big and strong. It's pretty simple, the basics. And you know what? If you had some muscles you wanted to work a little more, then maybe you do some isolation work for them. No big deal. When they stagnated in 1 rep range, they changed rep ranges around. Again, basis of periodization. They didn't fully understand it, but they kind of figured it out. It's just the basics, guys. And it worked. Guys, for decades, got impressive, amazing results without complexity. Just little basic progression schemes. Train them 3 days a week. Mostly big, heavy compounds, a little bit of isolation thrown in as needed. Focus on the big, heavy movements. And it worked. Sleeping enough, getting enough rest. Well, that goes back into if you're only lifting 3 days a week, you sure do recover easier. In fact, since you're not ever training 2 days in a row, you should be fully recovered and be strong and ready to go again 2 days later because you didn't do other stuff in between. So if you bench pressed on Monday, you should be able to come bench press and be strong again on Wednesday. Why? Because Tuesday you didn't train. You didn't do anything to impede your recovery. You had 48 hours to recover. And if you got plenty of food and sleep, you'll probably be okay as long as you didn't over push your limits. But rest and sleep. I mean, how much more gains would people get if people just told people, hey, you should probably take a day off between most of your training sessions and get at least 8 hours of sleep every night. That advice alone is probably worth more muscle mass gains than every single thing I've seen ever written in a muscle bag. That's probably worth more gains than every supplement ever invented on the face of the earth. Take a day off between training hard and get at least 8 hours of sleep every night. The basics. You can't sell that. I mean, how do you write new programs to sell in a magazine? How does anyone write a program on the internet that they can sell? I mean, look how many other YouTubers are selling individual programs, selling programs, charging $40, $50, $100 for a program. All you have to do is get strong on the basics. And you will gain about as much muscle as you can possibly gain without any drugs. And the same if you go on drugs, you'll probably gain about as much muscle as possible per month on any given amount of drugs as well. Whether that amount is 0 or whether that amount is 2 grams, you're probably going to gain about as much muscle as humanly possible for you personally if you focus on getting strong on those basic movements. Just the big basics. Big heavy exercises. And again, 1 rep strong, 10 reps strong. Get strong. Increase your overload. Make the muscles work harder. Muscles respond to work. That's how they grow. It's pretty simple. How about following a basic, balanced diet? You don't know what a balanced diet is? I mean, people stand there and they make arguments now to whether they want to argue about meal timing, meal frequency. Should you eat 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, 6 meals a day? How should you time your food around your workouts? How many macros should you be eating? Again, overly complicated. You know what? How about you eat a balanced diet? What does a balanced diet mean? Get a decent amount of vegetables. Try to eat high fiber carb sources. Most of your carbs should have a decent amount of fiber in them. The less processed your food is, up to a certain extent, probably the better. Some processing is okay. Bit of processing is okay. You probably don't want to eat anything that's been highly refined. You should probably stick to leaner proteins. Your protein sources should be relatively lean. How lean? I don't know. Relatively lean. Try not to eat too much saturated fat. Try not to eat too much table sugar. Eat plenty of vegetables. Eat plenty of fiber. Drink lots of water. A balanced diet. People want to argue and create whole articles now, again, selling stuff. What's clean? What's dirty? I just broke it down for you. That's a balanced diet. Relatively lean protein sources, plenty of vegetables. Try to eat high fiber carbs. Don't eat too much saturated fat. Don't eat fried foods. Don't eat too much sugar. That's the best recipe to gain muscle and strength without gaining too much body fat. If you want to gain weight, eat a little more food. If you want to lose weight, eat a little less food. You should probably replace some of your higher calorie foods with vegetables to lose weight. Add more fiber to your diet. Eat even more high fiber foods to fill yourself up more, and drink more water when you want to lose weight. It'll help you eat less. You guys see the problem with this though? How are you supposed to sell diets with this advice? I mean, we didn't calculate any macros. We didn't come up with, well, you need to eat this amount of protein. Oh, you're going to need to supplement a protein shake. Oh man, you're going to need fast absorbing carbohydrates post-workout. Well, we can probably sell you some fast absorbing carbohydrates with our whey protein, but it probably needs more branched chain amino acids. Oh, you need branched chain amino acids and dextrose before you train too. Oh, you probably need a scale now to count your macros. Well, we can't even really define what's clean and dirty, because in fact, if we start doing that and we start cutting out refined foods, well, we don't really mean that, because our protein shakes and our dextrose would be absurdly refined, but we don't mean those things. We mean other people's junk food, not our industry's junk food. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. How are people supposed to sell you dietary supplements and diet guides and meal plans and everything else if you're following basic advice like that? They can't sell you anything, because everything you need is at the grocery store or the farmer's market. Or you can grow it out in your own garden or in your chicken coop in your backyard. They can't sell you anything. So if people follow the basics, people can't sell you workout programs. They can't sell you workout guides. They can't sell you diets. They can't sell you dietary supplements, because everything you need is already there available to you. You just have to find a gym with enough barbells, plates, and maybe a deadlift platform to lift. Maybe a couple of basic racks to hold your stuff. How is anybody supposed to sell exercise equipment? Those machines are an enormous industry. I mean, even a cable crossover machine, a Smith machine, a leg press machine. How about all those hammer strength machines? If people train with the basics, they can't sell these products. Some of those machines cost thousands of dollars a piece. How are they supposed to sell that? If people are eating a basic healthy diet, a balanced diet, how are they supposed to sell you a multivitamin supplement? How are they supposed to sell you a post-workout recovery shake? How are they supposed to sell you a pre-workout or an intra-workout shake? when you don't need any of it. The problem isn't that the basics can't give you maximum results. The problem is the basics don't allow anybody to maximize their profits. There's no money in selling you the basics, so no one gives a fuck about talking to you about the basics. Because then you'll make all the gains possible without anyone being able to sell you a bunch of shit that you don't need. That's not good for a business. Or maybe people need to realize that this whole industry itself, and I thought it was interesting that Dr. Norton said the other day that I'm a joke in this industry. Good. I'm fucking glad I'm a joke in this industry. Good. Because I don't want anything to do with that. How about I teach people the basics? I just gave you guys the basics. There's no money in that. There's no money in that. But you know what? There's results in it. There's fitness in it. There's health in it. Your gains are in it. But you know what? If you get your gains doing the basics, it'll cost you a lot less money. And then maybe the fitness industry, in general, those people will have to go over to doing something honest for a living. There are worse things out there. There's jobs out there, guys. Don't worry. Or, they can find a new scam or a new hustle. There's always a new scam or hustle out there. But it's about time more people started pushing into this community the basics so they can push the industry out of this community. Because this industry, the fitness industry, has no business being in the fitness community. But, that's just my opinion, I suppose, at the end of the day. Happens to be the opinion of a lot of other guys in my age group, but that's okay. And when you younger guys get older, a little bit older, and you realize all that, don't worry. There'll be another group of young dumbasses ready to take your place. Once you guys are wiser, and a lot of you are, a lot of you guys are seeing it now. See, a lot of guys now, they're like, I've learned this, and then everyone I know around me, these other kids, a few years younger than me, they don't get it, and they just keep buying all this shit. And that's just the way it is, guys. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.